Alright, I'm here to just do a quick video for those of you who've been using the no knead dough recipe. And this is a double batch, and it's been fermenting actually just for a few hours. I have a starter. I've scooped out some of my old fermented dough before I made a bread loaf, and I keep feeding it with just equal amount flour and water every time I scoop some out. So this helped me, even though I used yeast in this morning. Actually, I did it like at lunchtime. I did the no knead bread dough recipe, and I added in a cup of the starter, so it sourdough'd it up, gave it flavor and extra kind of like ability to act like it's a fermented dough, even though it was just for a few hours rising. But see, it's nice and bubbly. I did add yeast to it as usual, but I just added the starter, and I keep that set off to the side. The starter, it just looks like this, so I add some of this to it, and I keep it cloth covered. And when I'm not going to use it every couple of days, I keep it in the fridge, and then you only have to feed it, remove some and feed it every couple weeks, really. So this is a double batch, because I'm also going to do a bread loaf, which I'm not going to show you right now. But I always do a double batch of every single thing, because I have a big family. It's rare for me to run a single batch, so you have to bear with me. First thing you're going to want to do, dump out your dough. I'm going to set aside what I'm going to use for my bread loaf, and I'm only going to utilize my pizza. I could use a double batch and make 4 large pizzas. It's up to you what you want to do. So I'm just going to set aside my loaf, so it'll be proofing here, and I'll let that rise for probably an hour or so, because I'm going to be baking the pizzas, so I'm not going to have room in my oven for a loaf. Some of you might, but I don't like to get hot spots in my oven. Sorry, it's dinging. People are trying to contact me and order flour. I forgot to put my phone on silence. So as usual, just dump it out. Do not knead your no knead dough. So I have to have you low so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm just making it so it's not sticky, so it doesn't stick to anything. All right, I'm going to make it look kind of like a circle-ish shape, something symmetrical, so I can cut it even down the middle so I know how much dough I've got. Okay, and then I'm going to set this one aside, and this is how you make seams as a review. All right, so this is now back to a single batch of dough, and I'm going to pull it in, 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 pull it in. So all the seams that will be on the top of my loaf are there, but we've got to let it proof and let them hold their position. That's what the proofing does, and it will rise a little. So I'm going to put it in that bowl, so it's on its top side, hanging out, okay? When I go to put it in the preheated pot for a loaf later, when my pizzas are done, I'll just take it out with a pot holder. I'll flip it into the hot pot, cover it, put it in the oven, 450. Pizza's also 450, so my oven is 450. Now I'm ready to move on to pizzas. Okay, I'm going to cut this in half, because I'm going to make 2 pizzas out of this. You can make it thick by using one. You can change the type of contraption you're cooking it in. It could be square, it could be round, it can be cast iron, it could be deep dish. Okay, all I'm doing is kind of making these kind of circular. Okay, and I'm going to work with them in just a second. My oven is on and preheating. I'm going to use cast iron for one, and I'm going to use just a regular pizza pan with the holes in it for the other, so it'll be 2 different styles of pizza. I'm going to olive oil my pans. You do not have to do that, but I like that kind of deep dish sort of crust on the bottom, and it helps for my pizza my dough to spread out into a better pizza shape a whole lot easier. So I even just a little bit, so it can slide around. I'm not saturating it, so it shouldn't like drip through the holes. That's why I'm using a silicone brush here. Makes it easier, but you could use a paper towel or cloth or something. Just don't pour it on. That's why I always have it in a bowl here. All right, you could put cornmeal on if you like a crunch underneath. That's up to you. Sometimes I do that. I'm not going to do that tonight. My one pizza is going to be barbecue, and the other is going to be just a cheese pizza for the kids. So on the cheese pizza, so that I'm more excited to eat it, I just have used the mortar and pestle here. I just muddled around some spices that are pizza spices. They are dried from my garden last summer, so I have to squish them up to get the full flavor. And I just season the pan. You know, you could do that on top of the dough too, but it's really nice underneath. Okay, this is all there is to it. You're gonna press that kind of, you made a round shape using floured hands. You're just gonna start to get it to press out a little bit. You can pick it up and stretch it, but you'll notice the no-knead dough is kind of more wet than a traditional dough. It doesn't have a lot of tug to it. You can try tossing it if you want, but we have found that hand pressing it out is the best. So now that I'm on my floured surface, I've sort of exceeded its ability to stretch. So I'm gonna put it in my pan and just kind of make it into a round, I'm on video, on a round shape, and I'm gonna let it rest. I'm gonna work my other one, just starting it out, punching it down. If you leave this dough out for any period of time, it does get, it does rise and gets fluffy. So you gotta punch it back down. It'll rise when you're cooking it. It doesn't need a second rise, but if you make it ahead, you can let it rise and just press it down and then top it. You can make it ahead of time and top it. Just know it still will rise around. You're getting fluffier crust. So that's what it kind of looks like. I'm gonna do a switcheroo here so you can see. That's my oven heating up. All right, so I'm trying to keep it round, and sometimes it doesn't like to mind its shape because it goes back. It's elastic. That's the gluten working there. Okay, so you have to kind of press and kind of hold, press and hold. So like I said, dough works better if you let it rest every once in a while. I try to pull my hair up. Working with my family here, so you can't call the health inspector on me. This is not a commercial kitchen. This is just my family. And I finally took a shower today, day 34 of quarantine. I finally got a shower in before the kids went to bed. Woohoo! So this is already to the edges, okay? I'm gonna let it rest even more. I'm gonna pull this one because this is a bigger, thinner crust. So I'm working with a thinner dough. I don't wanna tear it. I'm gonna poke holes in it, but I'm gonna encourage it by lift, pull, hold, okay? Lift, pull, hold. Once you get good at the pizza kind of shaping and stretching out, you just hammer through this and you know what your toppings are, get them on, you can get the kids involved. It's not as stressful as you might think. You might be overwhelmed going into it. So then I'll just pat it out. Now you can work it, less dough out to the edges and then just let it poof up and rise a nice big crust. That's up to you. So that's ready. Okay, so this one I want to go a little more because it's thicker. I'd like to get an edge. I don't want any sauce to go down the edges underneath the dough because it will burn. Oh, and I just have my short apron on today, so getting a little flour on my shirt. Just saw that in the video. Okay, I'm done with that. All right, so now I'm gonna have a cheese and a barbecue. So my first thing is, all I do is top it. You don't have to pre-cook it or anything. If you're using a cast iron skillet, sometimes it's harder to get, if it's thicker dough, it's harder to get the crust where you want it done-wise, like crunchy-wise. It can feel a little undercooked if it's thick. So what you need to do is use your range on top. If you have a glass range, the cast iron is not going to be a good situation for you. It'll scratch it. But what we do is we will, sometimes I'll pre-cook it if my oven's busy and I want everything to come out at the same time. But we'll cook it on the range a little bit, on like a low to medium. Just keep rotating it around so that it cooks the under part but doesn't like burn the cheese and stuff on top, and it'll make it a more sturdy crust. That's only if it's thick. But you can cook it in the oven and see how your oven behaves at 450 if it cooks it through how you like it. But if it's too floppy, and you'll be able to stick a spatula right underneath and lift it up and see if it's totally white, it's not crisping or browning underneath and too floppy, you can just stick it right on your burner for, I mean, it literally is like 4 minutes afterwards. It's not a big deal if you have to do that. A lot of people like to do the cast iron right on the stove. So this is barbecue sauce. This one's going to be the traditional kids' favorite boring old cheese. I hope I have enough sauce in here. Now I'm going to have to go open some more and disappear, but you get the idea. I'll finish topping one for you, trying to get all that good sauce in there. So I let the kids help me make my pizzas usually, but they are all outside right now, which is great, and I'm going to have to get more sauce. because this is not going to be enough sauce. I forgot this was a meat sauce that I had, so it's actually not cheese. It's actually meatball pizza now. I use whatever leftovers I have in the fridge to kind of create pizzas. My kids are used to that, but I always try and make them with cheese. They all do like meat, so they won't mind having a meat-flavored pizza. So I think I might even go get a meat-flavored sauce. What makes or breaks your pizza can be the dough, but it can also be, if it's not like, it still doesn't taste like pizzeria pizza after you've made it, maybe it's your sauce. Try a new sauce. All right, I'm going to move on and just let this be, I think, less sauce than usual. Well, I'll get some more in it. All right, so try different sauces. I'm not here to sell anything to you, but we just like the traditional cans of Hunt sauce. It's $1 a can usually, so we always keep it on hand. So this is just cheesed. Right, then I'll take, and this is the messy part, is I'll try to spread my barbecue chicken. This is pre-cooked chicken. I always save a little leftover if I know we're going to be making pizza during the week. We have pizza every Friday night, so I'll try and save a chicken breast so that we can have some leftovers to chop up and just coat in. Sometimes we'll make it buffalo chicken, and I use a pre-made sauce. All right, so nothing fancy. You can make your own. I make barbecue sauce. It's funny when we're having barbecue chicken, but I keep a bottle of barbecue sauce just on hand all the time so I can quickly make a barbecue chicken pizza. I don't know why. It's just easier, faster. Friday nights tend to be kind of go time at our house, and there's not a lot of time. If I want to enjoy my time with my family, we have pizza and a movie night, then I need it to be fast. And maybe someday I'll stock up on my own homemade barbecue sauce, but my barbecue sauce is usually a mixture of whatever condiments I have in the fridge. I have to get a new can for my red sauce, I think. Look. Yep. So I don't have quite enough red sauce. I want to get more, but this is my barbecue pizza, and it'll go in that oven, like I said, for 450, and I'll check it in about 12 minutes. It's about as long as most pizzas, homemade pizzas, take. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, and I am going to give you a little extra info. You can take some garlic powder and sprinkle it around. This is really strong stuff. On the edges of the crust, and your kids will like the crust even better. Parmesan cheese. You can shred it or shake it or whatever you've got around the edges of the pizza crust. Only if your kids like that. Some kids don't like it because it's like stinky cheese. But we do that on the crust because they'll really mow the crust. They won't leave anything behind. And another little trick that I have, if you don't already do this, you'll do it this summer, because everybody's going to grow a garden this summer after all this quarantine business. We're going to stock up and we're going to can things. In my freezer, and I hide this at the bottom. This is my cheese pizza for the kids, but I'll probably want to eat some. In my freezer is a bag. I take all my basil at the end of the summer or fall, as long as I can keep it before frost, and I just take all the leaves off. Well, I let it dry, and then I crunch all the leaves off, or I'll take it off the leaves, and I freeze it. So, coming back. Got a smaller bag somewhere. Here it is. So, this is all just basil. I froze whole leaf, and once it freezes, you can crunch it up, and now you have, I wish you could smell it, basil. This is another batch of basil, and it's just frozen. I'm going to use from this batch because it's a smaller bag. I can really crunch it up, and all I do, you have to work fast with frozen basil. It thaws uber fast. So I'll take a little pinch, okay, and I will spread this out over, and I'll have a nice tomato basil pie. Okay, and it's just, I can smell it. It's so much better than dried basil. It might be stuck to your fingers. You can actually just lick it and eat it. It tastes like a caprese salad. It's so good. So if you aren't already doing that with your basil, do it. Okay, you don't have to dry it. You just put it in the freezer. You do have to remove the leaves. It's a great job for little kids is to remove leaves from the big. Just pull the whole plant up and let the kids pick the leaves off in a pile. I do run them through a salad spinner, and then I'll throw them out on some paper towels or kitchen towels and pat them, but then they'll go in the freezer before they wilt or dry at all. And then you just crunch them up because they're frozen and throw them right on. They go into soups, anything. So that's it. I'm going to go get some extra sauce for my cheese pizza. Then I'll throw the cheese on and stick it in the oven. And happy pizza making.